this happens, I know a couple things are possible, right? I could either get swept into the side where I don't have my base, or they're going to attack this arm, right? If I have to choose between either defending a sweep or an armbar, I'm always going to prioritize defending the armbar, right? Because if I get swept, I can keep going. If I get armbarred, game's done, right? So usually if you make the mistake of having this happen, like great, you're gonna get swept, right? You made a mistake, you're gonna pay for it, right? But when as that's happening, you need to prioritize, keeping this arm defended. But anyway, so as I'm gonna have you start going for this armbar here, so you're gonna pull, whichever one you want.
Preferred side?
I don't have a preferred side. So when this happens and I get this arm across, immediately I need to address the fact that this is vulnerable, right? So I'm gonna hide it in between my arm here, like in my, elbow pit. And this hand is gonna be on the other side of my face, waiting to catch the leg, right? So as he continues with this armbar, right? As he's gonna, eventually at some point, he's gonna throw this leg in front of my face to finish, right? Because he wants to attack this arm here, right? So as he throws, I'm gonna make sure that my hand, right behind his knee here, right? And I'm just gonna catch it and make sure that he can't really push my face away, right? Most people when they're armbarring, their goal is gonna be to aggressively attack my posture, and they're gonna try and make my face as uncomfortable as possible here. So I need to be ready to push back into it, right? I don't just want my hand all floppy behind his knee, right? I need to be actively thinking about I'm gonna make space between his knee and my face, right? Because I can have this in the way, but if I'm not doing anything, then it doesn't matter, right? He's gonna push me to the floor. So this needs to be really active. And once I get control here, I wanna start stacking my person up, right? Don't overstack, right? That's not good. I'm almost thinking about rolling him like a rolling pin over dough, right? And I'm just trying to smoosh his center of gravity over his face. I want his knees driven into his face, right? Because ideally, right, we could get into a spot here where I can really start just escaping my elbow and pulling my arm out. But if you're against a person who already got you into an armbar, right, you can't be just casually pulling your elbow out, because if I just decide to pull, right, there's going to be a spot in there where that armbar is perfect right before the elbow gets released. So if they manage to catch you, or they're waiting for you to just try and yank it out, they're going to break your arm, right? So instead, what I prioritize is I'm just going to make sure that no matter what, he's unable to escape, right? And then, maybe I'll think about trying to pull this out, but if this is a really good person, I'm just going to wait here until I feel him let it go, right? However long that takes. I don't have to move, I'm defending, right? It's his priority to keep the action going at whatever pace that he wants. But if I'm in immediate danger, I'll spend the rest of the match here if I think that, any sort of movement that I make will result in me getting my arm broken, right? A couple things that I look for. When I'm in this position, I need to make sure that Rich can't rotate underneath me, right? So I like to use one of my knees as a little stop, either next to his neck or next to his armpit, to make sure he can't rotate and then force me into a pendulum sweep.
That's kind of
right? And then also focusing on, again, not pushing forward here, right? This is no good, right? So, once I get my hand behind his knee, I almost think about trying to spin him, right? And then I want to get right 90 degrees here and get my knee. Let's rotate. I want my knee in this space here so that he can't go underneath, right? If I'm here and he'll do a belly down armbar, or just get my arm out of the place where I can defend it. All right, so we're doing the Jiu Jitsu, right? He manages to pull my elbow across here, right? However he does. Immediately I'm starting to think, I'm just gonna have this in a safe spot. And most people, right, they see me, good people, they see this, they're like, okay, he's waiting for an armbar, we're not gonna do anything, right? And then, great, you've defended the armbar, right? And then you can start trying to walk everything, your elbows back into a good position, right? But every once in a while, you got a guy who's okay, I'm gonna call your bluff or your bet, right? And they go for the armbar. You need to be ready to catch this hand, right? And now I'm thinking knee to nose, right? I like to step up with this back foot and to help use my knee to pinch in on his hips, right? And I'm just gonna keep myself steady here, all right? They're probably gonna be moving around. I'm gonna keep my base low, keep his knees driven into his face, right? Just make sure his posture is broken down so that he can't extend through, right? And if he does manage to extend, I've still got my arms defending here, right? Keeping it protected, right? And if I'm feeling comfortable or if I feel like they've kind of relaxed on the grip, right, then I could start trying to pull this elbow out. But otherwise, I'm just gonna hang out until I feel them trying to move on to something else. Right? But just be very cognizant of, you know, what's happening with your arms, right? If I try and move this arm, the one that's blocking my arm, if I try and do something with it, you know, that might leave you vulnerable, right? So if I need to do something with my left arm, right, maybe I'll take this arm and weave it behind his leg here, right? And now I have a free arm to start breaking him down here, right? So this rear naked choke defense is gonna be my defense for like when we're being armbarred in side control, right? Or can you do the high side armbar? Like when you're kind of on my back here and you've got to come up.
Like this?
Yeah.
Gift wrap?
Right, same thing. I know that once this elbow comes around my head here, he's thinking about armbarring me, right? Because he's no longer taking my back, right? It's no longer, well, it's a possibility, but it's less likely, right? This means he's going for an armbar. I can feel it, so I'm already catching my vulnerable arm, the one he's looking to attack. I'm putting my hand under my bicep here, and this hand is just waiting for a leg to come over, right? So as he continues, right, I'm not going to be caught by surprise, and I can get set up here, where I've got a little bit of space in between my face and his leg, right? My arm is defended, and the more he pulls on this, right, the more he's pulling up on his own legs here, right? So I'm using his structure to keep my arm defended, right? And this isn't a place where we're going to be vulnerable for an infinite amount of time, but it's a place where we can usually make good decisions, right? So once I'm in this position, I try and figure out like which of his arms are attached to my arms, right? How many arms is he dedicated to attacking this armbar here, right? And where does he not have a base, right? So if he's hyper acting like aggressive and armbar and offensive, he's going to be using both of his arms to attack. So at this point, I kind of can choose whichever way I want to go. Usually, I like to bridge here, and then same thing. We're going to haul him up onto his back and start working, either hanging out here until he gives up, or if we're feeling confident, we can start trying to break down and escape the elbow here. All right, sometimes when we're being armbarred here, right, we go for this first one and he bases, right? But he still has his left arm kind of dedicated to holding onto my arm, so I'll use this momentum to roll him up this other way, drive up, right? No matter what, that's not true. For the most part, I never want to let go of my hand or stop defending that arm until I am on top. I see a lot of people when they're defended, they think that they can just sneak through and just let go and whip their hand through. It's, against a good person, that's not going to work. You always need to have something else on your side in order to even risk like letting go of that defense to start ratcheting your elbow out, in my opinion. So usually as me as a person who's attacking, right, I'm in this position and I'm putting like a great amount of weight on it here, right? And if there's nothing keeping his arms together, I'm gonna go for it, right? And if he's like, I'm waiting for him to let go for whatever reason, right? So if he does let go to try and sneak that arm out, right, I'm just gonna finish it. So you can't rely on the person attacking you making a mistake, right? Because you're basically, the only way you're gonna get out is if they don't pay attention and don't react to you fast enough. So I usually advise bridging or doing some sort of big movement to get up on top, either like putting them on your back or on their back and walking around or doing a backward roll yourself. And then once you can get their spine stacked up where they don't have as much power to extend, then you're safe to maybe start experimenting pulling that elbow out. But if you can't stack them and you can't compress that space, it's really, I don't know, super dangerous. The one thing I don't deal well with for this type of attack is when they switch up their arms, and then if you hook with your left arm on my arm here, so switch your arms, and then take your left arm and hook my leg. This is different, right? Because here, now even though like your base is gone for this side, it can't really effectively bridge into you. Right? So when this happens, we're not going to be able to do the bridge, but what I think of instead is trying to get underneath this leg and start building here. So if they're leaning like head side, or you know, they're either hooking with the hip side leg, or they have the Kimura, or they're over here, then we're going to do the bridge. But if they do that weird spider web thing where they hook the leg, I usually attack the legs, trying to get into that space. Yeah, so it's really important for the person on top, the person who's attacking, right? At least when I'm attacking here, I really focus on getting underneath this armpit space, right? And making sure that I maintain this inside dominance with my legs here, right? So when you're on bottom, what you want to do is you don't want to let them get in there, right? Because I can't allow you to put anything that will keep my elbows from coming into my body, right? Because this is going to inherently weaken me, right? So if I can, I need to really dig this out and not let you get under that space, right? And then from here, right, if I can't bridge, I can start using my legs to start getting into this space here, right? And then I can try and worm my way back into there. If I can go up and over this way, right, great. Just get them off with that. Start stacking them up, and then extract it. And that can be really awkward. I don't know how to make that not awkward, but.
In terms of getting up?
Yeah, because what happens is, like, you can get them on their back, but then there's this moment where we're here, right? And then it's like, oh man, like, how do I get my body oriented where it's comfortable and I can drive into it here? So here, I usually try and bring this knee up underneath my body here, and then now I can extend away with it.
Yeah.
And then sit
Just
here.
stepping up with your left leg, help it off of that.
Yeah, that's my left leg.
Oh, you're on your knee, but I thought when you were here, I don't know, when you come up, you're here, can you get up on your left leg? Can you turn your hips down? No, you have to.
Yeah.
But then if you put your left foot on the floor, can you do that?
Not my left foot, but I use my knee.
Okay.
In the same idea, where I'm like pressing against the floor to come up. And then the other direction is weird too. Right, so if he's committing both of his arms, and I can put him.
Oh, you want to put this?
Well,
this is no good.
This is weird, right? Because if you extend, then I'm like back down.
Yeah.
But if I can get my hips out and drive into you, right? Right. So when it's like this, right, you could either take my back, or what else is there? There's something else.
I mean, you can start doing other types of.
A bunch of weird stuff. But the main two, I think, are the back take and the arm bar. So here, right, when the back take is a possibility, that's what I'm focused on, right? I'm thinking that I need to be prepared for you to do a back take, so that if it happens, right, I can immediately start trying to defend here, right? But once your arm goes down into my face, that's when, like, immediately, that's what's happening. You're being arm bar here, so this hand needs to come up, like, first thing, right? And from here, if I can start trying to turn into you, but I still usually wait for the leg to come over. And then here.
Yes, and then it makes it's a lot of pressure.